Hi guys, it's Brian. Welcome to the awards contender. It is time for my tribute video to the late, great Robert Duvall. One of the best actors of his generation, his career spanned 7 decades. From the 60s to the 2020s in cinema, he received 7 Oscar nominations, including 1 win in Best Actor for Tender Mercies. He's made so many terrific films, it was very hard, you guys, to come up with 10. The 10 best Robert Duvall performances, my first list was about 27. There were about 27 performances I could talk about in this video. I will do a runners-up at the end and talk about a few others. But these for me are the 10 signature Robert Duvall performances. Let's start with number 10, THX 1138.
I'm taking atrazine, but it doesn't seem strong enough.
This is a really interesting film, the first feature by George Lucas before he does American Graffiti and Star Wars, of course. THX 1138 was a giant box office bomb at the time, but it has endured throughout the decades. Like any fan of George Lucas, you have to go back and see his beginning there, and that central performance by Robert Duvall is fascinating. There's not a ton of dialogue in the film. A lot of his performance is done with his expressions, with his eyes, but his incredible presence throughout that movie, it makes it what it is. If you don't have Robert Duvall in that movie, I do think it crumbles a bit. It's not just the look of THX 1138 we remember, it's also the rich Duvall performance. Number 9, The Judge.
You're standing in one of the last great cathedrals in this country, built on the premise that you and you alone are responsible for the consequences of your actions.
So this is his first Oscar nomination we're talking about in this video. All 7 will be represented here. I'm not leaving one out. At number 9, I have The Judge, which was his final Oscar nomination in early 2015. Really cool in that it proves how long-lasting his career was, how much of a great actor he continued to be long into his 70s and 80s and his 90s. He didn't lose an ounce of his power as he got older. The Judge is proof. Like how incredible he was in that final decade of his career. Playing opposite Robert Downey Jr., he plays a small-town judge who is suspected of murder. So there's a lot of tension in his performance. His character is being questioned. His son rolls into town, and they have their problems. So it's not the best film of 2014, but I was really taken with the performances, especially Duvall. I was so thrilled to see him get in at the Oscars. He lost that final time around to J.K. Simmons' Whiplash. He had that in the bag. There was no chance for Duvall that season. But at least he got in there, like in the final stage of his acting career. I think that is fantastic. Number 8, Falling Down.
Now let's go meet some nice policemen. They're good guys. Come on, let's go.
I'm the bad guy?
Yeah.
So Robert Duvall is probably not going to be celebrated very much for those genre films he made in the 90s, like Days of Thunder, like Deep Impact. He showed up in blockbuster films where, like, his performance is not front and center. It's not what we walk away thinking about. But basically my thing with Robert Duvall is he always makes a film better because of his presence, regardless of it being like a small, really wonderful indie movie or a giant like genre film of the 90s. Falling Down is incredible. I love that film. Michael Douglas is the star, and he's just your everyday guy who goes kind of crazy. In Los Angeles, he goes on this violent rampage, which you watch mostly in real time, and it's very entertaining. Duvall plays the detective on his case. If I remember right, it's like his last day or two before retirement. He's just about to retire, and he is put in the middle of this impossible situation with this guy. He tries to track him down to no avail at first, and they finally have their big moment near the end, and it's incredible acting from both Douglas and Duvall. I'm not sure if Falling Down will be on too many other top 10s for Robert Duvall, but it would be on mine. Number 7, A Civil Action.
What if I were to add 6 zeros onto that? That's right, that would be, what, $20 million?
Now this is the one Robert Duvall performance I have talked about before on the awards contender. Just a few months ago, I made a video all about Best Supporting Actor 1998. One of his many Oscar nominations came that year for A Civil Action starring John Travolta, an interesting legal drama in which Duvall plays a defense attorney who gets under Travolta's skin. There's this very famous scene in the film where Travolta is sitting on one side of a hallway and Duvall is on the other, and they get to talking, and you start to understand Duvall wants to have the upper hand on this guy, but it's not going to be that easy. Like most of Duvall's performances, it's pretty subtle. You know, the character he plays in A Civil Action is not screaming and yelling and crying or anything, but it is the performance from that movie you remember. He makes a very deep impression in that film, so I was thrilled to see him get the Oscar nomination. He won at SAG, so there was a small possibility of him winning the Oscar, as I talked about in that video from a few months ago. But the win went to James Coburn for Affliction. That was also a well-deserved victory. I believe that's the only Oscar ceremony Duvall is nominated at that he didn't appear. The ceremony in early 1999, he is not there, so if he had won, it would have been kind of anticlimactic. But if he had won, it would have still been fantastic because his performance in A Civil Action would have deserved it. Number 6, Network.
He was hoping I'd fall on my face with his Beale show, but I didn't. It's a big, fat, big-titted hit, and I don't have to waffle around with Ruddy anymore.
So speaking of the Oscars, here's an unusual circumstance where basically every other person in Network gets an Oscar nomination or a win, but not Robert Duvall. He is not nominated for Best Supporting Actor, but everyone else who has a major part in that film gets in. You have Peter Finch, and William Holden, and Faye Dunaway, and Ned Beatty, and Beatrice Straight. I mean, 3 of them win. Robert Duvall is not nominated, and it's weird to me because he is freaking fantastic in Network, one of my favorite films of all time. I mean, I guess you could argue he doesn't have a ton of screen time in that. He doesn't make a monumental impression the way like Ned Beatty and Beatrice Straight do in supporting roles. I get that. But that movie would not be the same without Robert Duvall. His character of this soulless corporate executive is very fun to watch. Like a couple outbursts he has in front of William Holden. I mean, some of the best scenes in that movie. I mean, every scene in Network is spectacular. All of the actors are doing some of their career best work, especially Faye Dunaway. I mean, just wow. Duvall is no slouch though in that movie. Whenever he's on screen, you can't look away. I adore his performance in Network. Number 5, The Great Santini.
I want you hogs to let this burg know you're here. I want these crackers to wake up and wonder what the hell blew into town.
So this Robert Duvall film and performance might have slipped through the cracks. It's not one of his most famous films by any means, but one of his very best roles. He is electric in this film. He is so mesmerizing. He plays a frustrated Marine pilot. He has an estranged relationship with his son. Their rage toward each other throughout the movie is really interesting to watch. It's definitely one of his most fascinating father roles in cinema. Like, he gets a lot to do in that film. He has some nice chemistry with Blythe Danner, who plays his wife in that. They also have some problems at times. And the son, played by Michael O'Keefe, is also fantastic in that movie. The chemistry between father and son in The Great Santini. I mean, you have to watch this film if you've never seen it. It came out like in limited release in 1979. It didn't do very well. And then they brought it back in 1980, and then in early 1981, Robert Duvall gets an Oscar nomination for Best Actor. I mean, that was the year of Robert De Niro and Raging Bull, so Duvall was not winning there. Like, that wasn't going to happen. But this small movie, which did kind of come and go, got a bungled release from the studio. For him to get into Best Actor at the Oscars for one of his best performances, I think is awesome. Number 4, The Apostle.
What should I do? Now tell me, should I lay hands on myself? What should I do? I know I'm a sinner and once in a while womanizer, but I'm your servant.
I do think this is Robert Duvall's best performance of the 1990s. His lead role as a preacher in this film is like, it's not a comeback role, like he was doing really great work in the 90s, but mostly in supporting roles. You look at most of his films from like 1990 to 1996, he's usually supporting. So for him to get this lead role in a movie that he directs himself, which is interesting. He didn't direct very many movies. This is his most famous one of the 5, and he is phenomenal in this. I mean, it is the Robert Duvall show. It's an ensemble cast. There's other people in it. like Farrah Fawcett and Billy Bob Thornton. It's got a really great cast, but he is front and center all the way through for more than 2 hours, and he gets to play so many dramatic shades in that. I mean, there's long monologue scenes where it's not really cutting, where we just stay on his close-up as he preaches like to the ceiling. There's a lot of scenes like that. It has some humor in it. It's more of a drama. It's a really great movie that you also might have missed. It got 1 Oscar nomination, Best Actor for Duvall. That was the year of Jack Nicholson and As Good as It Gets. I mean, that was kind of in the bag. Best Actor was very competitive for 97. Duvall still got in there, which I do think was very well deserved. Like, this should be one of his Oscar nominated roles. The Apostle, one of his very best performances. Number 3, The Godfather 1 and 2.
They shot Sonny on the causeway. He's dead.
Now we get to the landmark performances, like the 4, I guess you would say 4 incredible performances from Robert Duvall. If these had been like the only 4 films he ever made, we would be talking about him right now. He would be a legend. And then you look at his filmography, and I mean, how many films did he make going back to the 60s? It is like, it's like over 100. There are so many. But one of the very best is, of course, 1972's The Godfather. He plays Tom Hagen, a counselor to the Corleone family. He's kind of like a son to them. And he's not in like a ton of the film. He's not the flashiest performance. You walk away from The Godfather thinking about Marlon Brando and Al Pacino and James Caan. But there's this quiet intensity to Robert Duvall's performance in The Godfather and Godfather 2, which I think works wonders for those stories. I think his participation in the Godfather saga was essential. You miss him a lot in The Godfather Part 3, 1990. I think he was supposed to be in it, but they wouldn't pay him the amount of money he thought he deserved, so he passed on it. And it's like, that was stupid, you guys. He should have been in the third one as well. At least we get those 2 remarkable performances from Duvall in Godfather 1 and 2 in the early 70s. His first Oscar nomination is Best Supporting Actor for The Godfather. Famously, he's one of 3 men from that movie nominated in Supporting Actor that year. You also have Al Pacino and James Caan. So he probably wasn't going to win that first time around. Joel Grey took home the gold trophy that year for Cabaret in Best Supporting Actor. Such an awesome win. But Robert Duvall's performances in The Godfather 1 and 2 will stand the test of time. Number 2, Apocalypse Now.
You smell that? Napalm, son! Nothing else in the world smells like that!
I mean, just frickin' wow. He comes into that movie for just a few minutes in the first act, steals it away from everyone else. Like, he is mesmerizing in Apocalypse Now. I think that's the best performance in that film. I mean, just that line he says, "I love the smell of napalm in the morning." That little speech he gives, all in one shot. It is something else. His moments like on the helicopter, his enthusiasm as this air cavalry squadron commander who leads an assault on a Vietnamese village. I mean, it's like he's going into Disneyland. He is so excited to be there. His confidence, his determination, the way he speaks to everyone around him. I mean, it's such a spectacular performance from Robert Duvall. I don't know how many minutes he's in that movie, like maybe just 10 or so. It's not very many scenes, but what a remarkable acting job. It's one of the most memorable supporting performances in cinema in the 70s, I would argue. The way his performance sticks with you long after he's gone in that narrative. He's just a standout in so many films, especially in Apocalypse Now. I'm so happy he got an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor. He lost to Melvin Douglas being there. I feel like this is an Oscar Duvall could have won. He might have been in second or third place. He hadn't yet had a victory, and his performance in this movie is a wow. It's not my pick for number 1. I will get to that in a moment. Before I do, let me give you 10 other performances of his I think are outstanding. I'll be very brief. To Kill a Mockingbird, his screen debut as Boo Radley, I had to make mention of that in this video. One of my favorite movies ever, and he makes an impression at the very end, not saying anything, just with his face, with his eyes. MASH from 1970, one of the great films of the early part of that decade. He has a really interesting role in that film. The Outfit from 1973, this underrated thriller, crime drama kind of a movie. Quentin Tarantino talked about it in his book Cinema Speculation. So I took a look, and the Duvall performance in that movie is wonderful. Colors from 1988, opposite Sean Penn, a very compelling cop drama. Lonesome Dove, which is one of his rare TV projects, a miniseries that aired in 1989. That's a beloved performance of his. Wrestling Ernest Hemingway, 1993, which is probably the most underseen film I'm talking about in this video. He plays opposite Richard Harris and Shirley MacLaine and Sandra Bullock pre-Speed, an early Sandra Bullock performance. I really adore Duvall's work in that. The Paper from 1994, another tremendous ensemble of actors, an underrated Ron Howard drama that also stars Michael Keaton and Glenn Close and a really great group of people in that. Secondhand Lions from 2003, another underrated film I'm talking about in this video. I really enjoyed that one. A quietly affecting drama where he plays opposite Michael Caine and Haley Joel Osment. Get Low, which is one of his last great performances. He got some Oscar buzz. He got a Critics' Choice nomination. He plays opposite Bill Murray in that, and he's fantastic. One of his big physical transformations for a part in a movie. And Widows from 2018. He made such a great impression in that. Another tremendous cast led by the amazing Viola Davis, but in his very small role in Widows, Robert Duvall is a standout. And finally, that takes me to the number one choice. What do I think is Robert Duvall's greatest performance on film? It is his Oscar-winning role in Tender Mercies.
My daughter killed in an automobile accident. Why? You see, I don't trust happiness.
So I could have picked his roles in the two Godfather films. I could have picked his amazing parts in Apocalypse Now as my number one choice. But when I think about the quintessential Robert Duvall film performance, I have to go with Tender Mercies. He is the whole film. There are other people in it, very good performances, but that movie lives or dies by the Duvall performance. Whereas in Apocalypse Now, Godfather 1 and 2, he's part of an ensemble. There's other people who dominate in those movies. That is not the case in Tender Mercies. This is his film. And I hadn't seen it since high school. I watched it once many years ago. I didn't really remember it. So when I heard about his passing, the movie I watched that night was Tender Mercies. And oh my God, this film is so lovely. It moved me at the end. I was crying in those final scenes. It's such a deeply emotional story. It's beautifully made, written and directed and acted. Everybody in that thing. Betty Buckley is a standout in this. I mean, wow. Betty Buckley, I think, was deserving of an Oscar nomination in Best Supporting Actress. She is that good. She gets to sing. She gets to cry. It's a big performance from her. But let's be honest, the standout of this film, the performance that sticks with you for many days after watching it, is Robert Duvall. He plays this weary, kind of broken down country singer who's been out of the limelight for a while. He was somewhat famous for a time there, and now he just works at this motel alongside his wife and his stepson, and he's living the quiet life, but eventually it starts to be known where he is. People start coming around, they ask him, are you still creating music? Are you going to sing again? And he starts to reignite that passion for songwriting, for performing. The love of music in his character, Max Sledge, has not been lost. But there's also a lot of family drama. He has an ex-wife who had a child of his. And every step of the way, Robert Duvall is doing incredible work. It's a reserved performance. It's very lived in. He never goes too big, too emotional, where he's breaking down crying. I mean, there's a couple scenes near the end where he could be sobbing, but he doesn't. He keeps most of it inside, and that was the right way to play this character in this film. I mean, a scene he has near the end where he questions why a certain someone had to die when he got to live. The whole scene is done in a wide shot. You don't get a close-up of him, tears going down his cheeks. But from this wide shot, you understand how much he is hurting inside, and this moment broke me. It's not the kind of role you would look at and say, oh, clearly Oscar winner. So I think it's fantastic the Academy gave Robert Duvall his one and only gold trophy in Best Actor for that film. It's a competitive category, some other wonderful performances there. But yeah, this was the time. This was the moment for Robert Duvall to win an Academy Award. I think he deserved it 100% for his deeply affecting performance in Tender Mercies.
And I want to thank the Academy very much for this award. I'm very happy. Thank you.
Robert Duvall, 1931 to 2026, 95 years old when he passed. What a rich life he led. What an incredible actor he was. These top 10 performances just skim the surface of his talents, but you could do a lot worse than start here. Start with the very greatest Robert Duvall performances. We thank you, Robert Duvall, for sharing your talent with us. Sharing your talent with the world. You made the movies better for 70 years, and we're really going to miss you.